the show today, we have in-law problems that are taken to a whole new level. We've got a daughter-in-law who fears for her life. She thinks her mother-in-law might hire a hitman. Her mother-in-law calls her a piece of you-know-what and says she hopes that she goes you-know-where. Then there's the son-in-law who says his mother-in-law tried to run over him not once, but twice with an SUV. Now, believe me, the mother-in-laws have a whole different side of the story. They don't think they're the problem at all. We're going to find out. My first guest, Carrie, says that her mother-in-law's been a pain in her behind for the last 9 years. Take a look.
It's your mother, and I'm your wife. Patty makes me nervous. I am afraid that she would have me killed for revenge.
My mother has even threatened to get hitmen.
I never liked Carrie from the beginning because she's a very rude and offensive person.
I'm always watching what I say around her, watching what I do. I always have tried walking on eggshells. Our fights weren't this bad 9 years ago. They're getting worse and worse. She had said that she wanted me to drop off the face of the earth. She thinks that I have ruined her relationship with her son.
When Brian first brought Carrie home, he said, "Oh, she's not Miss Right, she's just Miss Right now." I guess she's Miss Forever now.
I read an email from Patty to Brian that said I was a mistake. I'm done with you. You are the rudest, most disrespectful I have ever met. This just makes me mad.
Is there any way you can just ignore it?
You can't ignore the stuff she says to me.
My mother has called my wife a fat-ass bitch. She's called her a piece of
She did say that she will not kiss my big fat square ass.
Some of the names my mother has called my wife, I wouldn't let anyone call my mother. This fighting has been going on for 9 years. My wife would call me crying that my mother would call on the other line. I tried to referee, but eventually I just told them, you know what, settle it between yourselves.
I've called Carrie a piece of because she is a piece of I've called Carrie a because she is
Okay. Now, Patty, let me start with you here. What do you expect, what do you predict when you introduce that kind of rhetoric into an adult conversation?
In my opinion, Carrie is the most insecure person I've ever met. She does this so that she can push me and that I will react, and then she goes to Brian and says, "Oh, your mother did this," and then he's on her side.
Okay, what do you say about this?
I do not try to push her buttons at all. I have tried to walk on eggshells basically around her, watching everything I say to her, she takes out of context. And you know, you can say something joking around and she just turns it into this huge thing. You just have to watch every single thing you say.
Well, she says that you scream at her on the phone, you will not talk to Brian. Just you won't let her talk to him on the phone. That you have said that you are a horrible mother and Taylor will hate you like your other two kids do.
That is not true.
Did you say those things?
No, I did not. I asked her not to get Brian involved. If she had something to say, say it to me.
But wait a minute. Did you or did you not say you are a horrible mother and your daughter will hate you like your other two kids do? Now, you either said that or you didn't.
No, I never said she was a horrible mother. No, I never said that
Why
to you.
did you tell us that?
She said that to me, Dr. Phil. She said, "You're a horrible mother and Taylor will hate you just like your other two children do."
Now, somebody's not telling the truth here. These are your emails that you wrote,
Yes.
and we checked everything. This comes from your computer.
Yes.
You say, "I hope you said everything you wanted to say to me today because it's the last chance you'll ever have. I'm done with you. You are the rudest, most disrespectful I have ever met." I edited that for you. So just go ahead, and if you're going to keep those boys from me, just go ahead and get it over with. That'll complete your agenda. You know karma, you're going to get it threefold. You're nothing but a piece of you-know-what. This is your day, Trailer Park.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy it.
That's because
When you go to church, you better say a bunch of extra prayers because I hope you go to hell.
Yes, I said those things and I regret saying them. And I was pushed.
She regrets it, but she means it. She's told several people she does regret saying it, but she does mean every word she said.
I regret it because I don't want my grandchildren to know I said those rude things to anybody.
Then why say them?
I know, that's what I'm trying to learn not to do, but she pushes my buttons and she knows exactly what she's doing. And I am trying to learn not to say those things
You
again.
say, you haven't spoken to her in 6 weeks, right?
No.
You all haven't spoken in 6 weeks. You said, I will never allow you to speak to me the way you do, and I will never kiss your big, fat, square ass, and that's what will be required in order for us to get along.
It is.
Now, come on.
Dr.
And
Phil,
now,
nobody...
hold on a minute. After you typed that, you typed for another, unless you're a real fast typist, you typed for like another 5 minutes, which means you had time to think about that and read back through that before you sent it.
I very much regret that.
No matter what she does, when you write this kind of stuff to another human being, what do you predict the outcome is going to be? Answer that question for me.
This, it's not good, and I'm absolutely wrong to do it. But
That wasn't the question. You're not hearing the question.
Okay.
I felt very sad on Carrie and Brian's wedding day. I think she was trying to trap him by getting pregnant. He's never said to me that he loves Carrie, never once. I felt he was making a mistake. Someday he's going to come to me and say, Mom, you were so right.
Well, it's been a 9-year feud between mother-in-law Patty and daughter-in-law Carrie. Now, the husband that says he's caught in the middle of this says he's finally chosen his wife's side because his mom has crossed the line. Do you think that when you do what is essentially character assassination, you call somebody names, you demean them, you put them down, what do you think anybody with any self-respect or self-esteem is going to do?
Fight back or stay away from that person.
They're going to cut you out of their life, aren't they? I mean, it's either going to disintegrate and get into violence. You say you're actually afraid that she could have you killed.
Well, I think she wants revenge, and she has said that about people in the past,
Said what?
that she could have them killed.
Have you said you're going to have people killed?
That is untrue. That is so asinine.
You said-
Ever would I say that, ever.
I
didn't say
specifically remember driving in a car, and you said, I can have him killed.
I would
said,
never-
how would you do that?
How
and
would
you
I
said,
do
I know
that?"
people from high school. It's exactly what you said.
Okay, so this wasn't just a blurb. This was, you actually said, I could do this. I know people from high school.
I never said anything like that in my life.
Where in the world did you go to high school?
I have never been in a physical fight with anyone in my life and don't like fighting, and I sure don't know any hitmen. I do not know why she would
She's
say
just
that.
making all this up.
Evidently, she is.
She's making all this up.
Yes.
Just, it's an odd thing to make up about
it's
your
true.
husband's mother.
I know. I went to my husband and said that I was worried when she had said that. I said, do you think that's something she would really do, or was she just saying it because she's upset?
You know, something that I kind of enjoy sometimes looking at is the curative nature of the camera. Because, I'm reading these emails. I'm not going to kiss your big, fat, square ass, and you hope you go to hell and fall off the world and all that. And then you come out here and butter just wouldn't melt in your mouth. And same with you. And the same thing with you. You're yelling on the phone and screaming at her and all of that. And then you're out here, well, just, golly gee, Mom, I do recall you saying something about perhaps you would have some people killed. I mean, why do you even come here if you don't want to be honest about this?
I'm honest, Dr. Phil. I do not lie. That's why I get myself in trouble all the time, because I'm brutally honest. She's the person who says things on the phone and says disgusting things to me, and I'm not afraid to put it in an email or say it to her, but that way she
I had
covers
one
herself.
conversation on the phone with you where it was heated in an argument. Other than that, I have not.
So you're just reacting to her.
I'm reacting to her,
Okay.
absolutely.
Do you agree with that, Brian?
Early on in this, I tried to stay out of it, but I still, up to recently, try to stay out of it. I see the emails back and forth, and I see that my mother won't hold any punches. So I'm not really sure who instigates it.
You have said that your mother can't get along with anybody in the family. You gave a whole list. You named Uncle this and that, and on down the line said you can't get along with anybody in the family.
I put that question to my mother. Why is it that Is it her or is it the rest of the family? What are the chances of that?
So if you believe that your mother is just inflammatory, if she's combative, if she just gets into conflict with people, why have you been standing around 9 years, mamby-pambying around and letting this whole thing spin out of control instead of stepping up and putting up some boundaries around your wife and family? I think if there is a problem with an in-law, if you got a problem with your mother, then it's your job to fix it. It's not your job to fix that relationship. That's your job. She's your mother, and so it's your job to manage your mother in that relationship, because you're the one that has the history here.
Sure.
You're the one that has the history. That's your job, and you've just been kind of sitting back saying, well, we'll just let them, they're not going to be best friends. We'll just let them fight it out. And now it's come to this, and your kids pick up the tab for that. You lose peace from that. And I'm wondering if you're playing both sides of the fence here. Have you said to your mother in the past that marrying her was a mistake?
No, I never said that, no.
Did he say that to you?
He said that.
Boy, we ain't got anybody here to tell the truth.
I do. He said that he knows it was a mistake, but he has to stay in there for his kids.
You don't go talk to your mother about problems with your wife, because that's not good. That doesn't work. When they wrote in, we got letters from what we thought were the Osbournes. When they got here, it was Beaver and his wife Pollyanna and their mother June telling a whole different story. Now, Brian and his wife Carrie say they don't know what to do about his mother. Now, Patty admits what I have in writing. That you admit to everything that I have in writing and nothing that I don't. She says she's never liked Carrie, but adds that she feels that she's the one being attacked and has no choice but to retaliate. Now, she's called Carrie trailer park, wide load, square fat behind. Now, they say they're here for help, but you can't change what you don't acknowledge. And what I think is you think you're right here. Mm-hmm. All right,
But no, I'm not right to say those horrible things to anybody. I don't want to be in their business. Believe me, I have a life. I do not want their problems.
You said you're gonna take them to court.
Well, I know that grandparents have rights, and I feel those
No, actually
kids,
they don't.
Really?
Actually, they don't. You have no. I'm no attorney, but I've spent a lot of years in the litigation arena,
Okay.
and I don't believe that with both biological parents living and well, that you have any right to spend 1 second out of 1 minute of one day with their children.
Okay.
I mean, what would you file?
I thought grandparents had rights and to be able to see their grandchildren, because I just feel like I have a right to see them and they have a right to see me, and that she uses them against me.
But you have to understand, you don't have that right.
Okay.
That is a privilege, and it is a privilege that follows reasonable, supportive, consistent interaction. Mm-hmm. Now, your children have a need for extended family in their life. I support you having a relationship with those children, and I hope that you would figure out a way to make that happen. Those children need you in their life. You need them in your life. There's nothing but good, strong, healthy things that can come from grandparents being in the lives of their grandchildren. Let me ask you this. What would she have to do in order for you to get happy and peaceful?
You would have to stop pushing and attacking me and Taylor. Taylor's a child. She doesn't need to be belittled and have her self-esteem attacked all the time to feed your insecurity. And
have you ever seen me attack Taylor?
That's
have you been
all
there
you
when
would
I've
need
attacked
to do.
Taylor?
I do not.
It's all hearsay, and I'm sorry, but I think she's been warped by you. You have admitted to telling her since she was a small child that I was a bitch. You have told her constantly.
You know, this is so funny because when Taylor was about 4, she overheard me say Carrie was a bitch. I keep these kids out of this completely. But she...
It's in the email. It's in the email.
But
I got 9 pages of emails here where you're talking about it, and Taylor,
Okay.
in Taylor's own words, is saying what you've said to her
Okay.
about her. Have you told Taylor that she was stupid and
Absolutely not.
because you said that she has?
Taylor said she has.
Well, Taylor is telling you a story because the way Taylor gets attention from you is to say bad things about me because she knows how you feel about me, Patty. I've told you that. That you do that with everybody in the family. You say bad stuff about everybody in front of Taylor, and Taylor can't have a relationship with anybody.
That is not true.
Really?
I have
Really?
a fine relationship with everyone in my family.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Is that true?
No, that's not true at all.
You want to know what I really think?
Yeah.
I think that, as strange as it may seem to everybody that's listening, I think you have a good heart.
I do.
And I think you are well intended. But I think you are very misguided. Name calling, threats, accusations. I mean, you might think we were talking about the mean girls at school, but we're not. We're talking about family. We're talking about family. Carrie and her mother-in-law, Patty, have been at odds since the day Carrie married Brian. Now, you just said, and this is what I'm trying to do, you say, I don't lie, and I'm not calling you a liar, but I think you maybe are somewhat of, shall we say, a revisionist historian. You might revise history in a way that kind of fits your position at the time. You just said, I don't have problems with anybody in my family. I get along with everybody in my family. You take her out of it. This is your own son. Mm-hmm. You say she can't get along with anybody. You couldn't name one person in the family when asked that she got along with consistently across time.
The relationships have been up and down over the years for all we don't have much family left, and what we have left is...
And what you said is, Mom, if it's Carrie, then why can't you get along with this one and that one and this one and that? I think you named 7 or 8 of them. I can go get the email, but you named 7 or 8 people that you just can't get along with, and then you say, I get along with everybody.
I have disagreements, every family does, but there's not any serious problems.
But see, I have disagreements. I've got 3 sisters, and we grew up and had disagreements, but I don't think I ever told one of them to get their ample ass out of my house. That's not what I call a disagreement. That's what I call character assassination.
It is.
That's what I call venomous attacking. And apparently this isn't the only person you do it with. Now that doesn't mean that she isn't frustrating, that she isn't irritating, that she could just absolutely gall you. But that doesn't mean that you're going to fix that problem by attacking in that way. And by the way, you don't get a vote on how she parents. You don't get a vote on how she marries your son. You don't, how that works. You don't get a vote on that. You got to turn that loose. How old are you now?
35.
He's 35 years old.
I accept that he's married to her and she's the mother of my grandchildren. That's not an issue. I accept that.
I don't think you do. I don't think you do, because you're taking her inventory all the time. You have to be the leader in your family, particularly in this situation. There needs to be a set of boundaries invoked here. There needs to be some rules and some guidelines. And the best way to do that is, like if people argue about almost anything, then I just have them get together for a short period of time and talk about the weather, if it's clear.
They would even argue about that.
You need to understand, you got to get along with these people.
Dr. Phil, I've asked them to go to counseling. I know there are problems
It's not your job
here.
to send them to counseling.
For us, all of us to go together. And we just, when the last blow up happened, we had an agreement that we're just we don't like each other. We need to do what we can for these kids. I don't want them affected by all of
But
this.
you have a counselor, right?
Yeah, I just started, yeah.
Okay, and you're seeing this counselor?
Yes.
How many times have you been?
3,
Okay, and you're going to continue going?
yes.
Okay, then maybe that counselor is the place to start working out how you can put some impulse control in.
Absolutely,
Turn
I
your
need to do
email
that.
off.
Absolutely.
You want to stop writing things like that.
Absolutely.
Because once you write those things, they're out there forever.
Yeah, and then when you say them, you can say you didn't. So.
Hey, say something honest, and I'll say that I said it, Patty.
No, but
Don't come here and lie.
But see, that's exactly right.
Absolutely.
No, that's exactly right. She can deny it and you can't.
yeah.
How dumb is that?
I know, it is dumb.
You know,
But see,
quit
that's-
writing.
It was dumb. Absolutely. But I don't always see, to me, she has an agenda. She's out to show that I'm this horrible person. I don't do that. I say it, I'm honest. I say, let's get some help. Let's try to work this out. She's the one who agrees to it and then comes back and starts pushing again to set me off.
Okay, it's clear we're not going to resolve this today. I want you to think about what I've said here. Your job is to manage this relationship. Your job is to mother and protect your children and nurture your marriage. If she folds into that, that's great. If she doesn't, you know what your job is. You're going to have to figure a way to get along here, or you're going to be on the outside looking in. However unfair that may be, you're going to have to do that. I want y'all to think about that, and then we'll talk some more. If we have some plans that we can do with y'all, will you come back and we'll talk about this some more?
Sure, great.
Will you?
Sure.
Well, we've heard of in-laws that don't get along, but this story takes the cake. Now, Chris says he was dropping some grocery money off at his mother-in-law's house one afternoon, and what happened next is shocking. Take a look.
The shocking accusation made against me is aggravated assault.
My mother-in-law tried to run me over.
My mother tried to run over my husband.
It's shocking. I've never had any charges brought against me in my whole life. I was not trying to run Chris over. I left my house. I was right about this curb and I saw Chris walking in the grass.
She was pissed. I was definitely scared for my life.
He's coming towards me and he's screaming at me.
I went outside and I saw my mother trying to run over my husband.
I was afraid of Chris.
She cussed me out, drove away.
I turned right like this to get away from him because he was coming towards me.
My first response was to make sure the kids get inside so they don't have to see this.
She turned around, sped back, put it in reverse, gunned it coming at me.
The car had spun uncontrollably.
She immediately started doing donuts around me, trying to run me over.
My heart's beating fast.
I immediately picked up the phone and called 911. I told him that my mother-in-law just tried to run me over.
Chris is yelling at me and punching his phone and telling me he's calling the police.
I saw my mom coming down the road.
I pulled the car away and it went into a spin. Not on purpose, but just a spin.
I had to jump across a ditch on the other side of the road to get away from her. She swerved into the ditch to try to hit me.
Didn't see Chris for a while and I didn't know what had happened. Is my husband okay?
My mother-in-law was delusional. The drastic move to press charges is the only leverage that we have in order to make sure that she takes care of herself mentally.
I don't think I'm insane. I think the shocking accusation is insane.
Her family's not happy about me pressing charges.
Chris has told my son that if I say I'm sorry, that he'll drop the charges. Chris, I did not try and kill you. I did not try and hurt you.
My father and brother are mad that we're not dropping this. They want us just to let it go. I can't do that.
Mom was initially supposed to be here today, and she cooperated. She did the field shoot with us. She did the interview that you saw. But then all of a sudden, she just wouldn't return the phone calls to one of my producers. Do you know anything about why she fell out of the process?
No, I don't know. I haven't spoke with her in a while.
You guys are in hiding from her. What does that mean? She doesn't know where you are?
I don't want to let her know where I'm at right now.
You're having trouble family-wise because you're prosecuting your mother.
Yes.
They think that's harsh?
They do. They think that they think I'm being harsh, and it's tough love. I want to see her get help in other ways than that, but it's something I think I have to do.
Yeah, and you're saying that you really don't want to drop the charges unless she apologizes and makes restitution, and you say she's cost y'all close to $30,000.
Those are two things. First thing is I want to make sure that she gets the help that she needs. She has a mental problem. She's got some sort of problem that's causing her to do this that's not really her. This is not my mother-in-law.
Well, you said restitution that must be made in order to drop charges against her. Handwritten letter to Rebecca acknowledging lies that have been told about you. The repair and sale of your home. A written plan that involves medication and treatment and that sort of thing. Restitution of lost wages. Compensation for restarting your career. Reimbursement of moving expenses, $1,000 repairs to the van, totaling $27,700 and some odd dollars. I don't think you can do that, can you?
Dr. Phil, this is not about money, and I do not want to make this about money, and I care less about any restitution as far as financially.
Well, you gave us the list.
I did, and that's the list that I wrote to my mother-in-law. And number one on that is to make sure that she apologizes. And the reason I wanted a handwritten letter is because I wanted her to go through the process of dealing with what she's caused for her family, especially her daughter.
So you're just doing it therapeutically. You think if she sits down and writes it out, it'll force her to crystallize it in her mind
that's
and
my
acknowledge
thought.
What's going on.
That's my thought.
That won't work.
Okay.
That's not going to help. Look, here's the deal. Something's happened with your mom, right? You both say you think that she's had a mental, emotional shift of some sort,
Correct.
Right? And I've gone through the timeline of this. I know she's had the death of a family member. She got really rocky after that, but there was some behavior prior to that as well. But there's certainly been some stress in her life, and she's how old now?
Early 50s.
Yeah.
She's in her 50s?
Yes.
That's not a horrible thing, by the way. You know?
Oh, she didn't want me. I mean, she'd
Yeah,
be so
I know.
upset if I told her age on TV.
Yeah,
so
well,
I
we
wasn't
don't
gonna
want
say
her
anything.
upset.
We do not.
We don't want her upset. But nonetheless, let me tell you, I think y'all are very legitimately concerned about this. This isn't just, well, she's moody. She clearly has a problem with impulse control here. I mean, and I think she can be as rational as she was on that video. And I totally understand that she can go Jekyll Hyde on you and a matter of seconds later be completely different.
Yes.
Is that fairly
Yes,
accurate?
that's
So I get it, right?
You got it.
I got it. I'm not sucked in by the tape. What I will tell you is I think you've made, I can argue for what you've done in calling the police and pressing charges, but here's what happens. When you call the police, when you file charges, what you've done, and I've said this before, you've invited the government into your life. You've got a third-party authority into your life. You say, well, should I drop the charges? You didn't bring the charges. The charges were brought by the district attorney, and they can proceed with that whether y'all like it or whether you don't, whether you testify or whether you don't. With the statements that you've made, they can prosecute her to the full extent of the law with you or without you. And trust me, they don't like being used as leverage. They don't like being used as a collection agency, like, okay, pay me $27,000 and I'll not press these charges. That's not your option. And if they find out that that's your idea, I promise you they will prosecute her. Because they don't want to set a precedent where, okay, you made me mad, I'll file charges on you. Okay, now we've made up, never mind. Never mind, you started the wheels turning, the process going.
Okay.
However, should you just let people try to run you down in the street? Of course not. You can't do that either. So you're kind of between a rock and a hard place, right? You're trying to compel something. The quality of care, if any, that she's going to get through the penal process is not good. What's going to happen is she'll go to trial, she'll be convicted, they'll put her on probation, and she'll beat you home. They've got people serving 10 months for murder because we don't have anywhere to put all of these people. So I'm just telling you the realities of the situation so we can then say, okay, now given that reality, what do we do about that?
Right.
But I mean, do you get what I'm saying? I'm just telling you
Absolutely.
what I know about the system.
Absolutely. I mean, this is not, we tried to get the authorities involved with getting her help initially. And I'm the one that took those initial actions, calling to get a mental health warrant and those sort of things. And we've hit dead end after dead end after dead end.
Yeah.
And that we were told, anything that happens, you call the police, you get something, in writing from them, a third party, in order to document this.
Because they can come talk to her on a given afternoon. She's right as rain, just like she was for our cameras.
Exactly.
And I mean, nobody's going to take her out of the game. To take someone's liberty away and make an involuntary psychiatric commitment, which is only good for 72 hours, by the way,
That's all it was good for.
is really a difficult process to go through. I've done it. So I understand.
And that's what we did.
So the question is, what do we do, right?
Yes,
So
what
how
do
do
we
we
do?
get out of this pickle? You got your family mad at you. You got your mother running around in an SUV that's loaded, and you want help. Now, I think it was the LA County Sheriff here that runs the jail. He said one time, "I'm operating the biggest mental health facility in America." So the question is, what do you do in this situation?
My mother-in-law has made so many shocking accusations against us. My wife was a whore. I'm abusing our children. I can't believe any of this is happening.
I've never told lies about Rebecca and her family.
I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg, her trying to run me over.
Okay, look, here's the thing. Very likely, your mother has experienced a neurological event. She may have had a minor stroke sometime back in a silent part of her brain that is stopping circulation, probably in the neocortex, maybe in the occipital lobe. That's where you start to see kind of really erratic sort of behavior. She may have Pick's disease. She may have some type of early forms of Alzheimer's, where you begin to see erratic swings in behavior, where it's totally out of character. This is the same woman, she's a nurse, correct? Mm-hmm. This is the same woman that, but for her, you would have lost one of your children, right? She was there at a critical moment and saved your child's life. This is the same woman that you're now saying is a menace and needs to go to the penitentiary. So is it the same woman? It's the same body, but she has definitely had a shift, and it's probably neurological in nature. She won't get help for that in jail. You've started the process at this point. The best thing you can do right now is work with the district attorney, maybe hire an outside criminal lawyer to help do some of the lifting so it makes it easier for the prosecutors who are underpaid and way overworked, to try to get some type of court-ordered evaluation and intervention. She probably doesn't need to be in a psychiatric facility. She certainly doesn't need to be in jail, but she does need a neurological evaluation to find out if something's going on in her brain that has stopped her impulse control, stopped her reasoning centers, and shut down her inhibition center where she acts on rages and things of that nature. It causes hormones to go way out of whack, and you combine that with conflict and stress and neurological impairment, and you can have an erratic person that can wind up hurting themselves or somebody else. But she is not a candidate for jail, in my opinion, and she's probably not a candidate for psychiatric hospitalization at this point. This is very likely, in my opinion, a neurological situation. Now, if you can get her to do it, I have made arrangements for her to have a broad-based neurological assessment by top neurologists in the country, have agreed to see her and do this evaluation to find out if there is a disease that needs to be diagnosed and treated. We're going to continue to reach out to her to try to get that done. We will also work with the district attorney up there to explain what we think is going on here. You don't put people in jail for brain tumors, which is another possibility, but it's the same effect as if she did have a brain tumor. What I recommend is that you show them this tape, let them hear what I've got to say about all of this, and that we will get this evaluation. Then that can be used in court to say, Judge, we're trying to protect her from herself as well as from us. We don't want to put her in jail. And if you can get the DA to assist you and work with her lawyer, then maybe we can even compel that. And once we find that out, then with proper medication and treatment, she can be fine. What you want is safety, not revenge.
Absolutely.
It's not about the $27,000.
No,
it's not about the letter of apology. It's about the proper diagnosis followed by a treatment course that will get you safe and her safe.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think needs to happen. We stand ready to help you in getting that done, and we'll continue to reach out to her. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Could that be a plan?
Sounds like a great plan.
That is.
All right.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.